Good Lord, y'all already running your mouths in the chat. I see St. Michael with first blood. And, y'all, this story. Whoo! Let's just get into it. Good morning, everybody. Whoo. So that's the question. Will Sheetz fold? Oh, that depends on whether or not they're fitted, I suppose. I shit you not. This is what's happening. The Biden administration is suing the gas station company Sheetz for racist, discriminatory hiring practices. That's right, Sheetz. Sheetz is racist now because they have criminal background checks as part of their hiring practice. That sounds like a Babylon Bee headline, right? It really does. It sounds like a joke. I just pulled this up on Twitter, and I haven't watched this video yet. But the headline for the video is that it's about it. It's about this story. WTAJ. So I want to watch this with you guys for the first time because I'm curious as to how it's going to spin.
U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing Sheetz for racially discriminatory hiring practices.
Suing them for racially discriminatory hiring practices. That's...
According to the lawsuit, Sheetz has maintained a long-standing practice of screening all job applicants for records of criminal conviction and then denying them employment based on those records. The EEOC says that Sheetz hiring practices.
Okay, let's unpack that a little bit. She said that right, and you see it, the headline on the Chiron there. Sheetz being sued for racial discrimination in hiring practices, in hiring process, right? Racial discrimination. And then she said that Sheetz does a criminal background check as part of the hiring process and does not hire people with criminal convictions. She didn't say they don't hire black people with criminal convictions. She didn't say they do hire white people despite their criminal convictions. What she said, and this is in the lawsuit, that they don't hire people with criminal convictions. And on that basis, this is a racially discriminatory hiring practice.
Disproportionately screened out Black, Native American, Alaska Native, and multiracial applicants, which violates provisions of Title VII.
So, the claim that they're making is not that Sheetz refuses to hire non-white people. The claim that they're making is that Sheetz refuses to hire people who have criminal convictions on their background check, and that it is the case. They're making this claim. I'm not going to bother stating the statistics and making the argument on this one. I'm going to dissect the claim. The claim is that this qualifies as racial discrimination because non-whites are disparately affected by a hiring practice which requires a clean criminal history, a clean background check. So their claim, the thing that the Biden administration is saying is that if you are Black, Indian, Native American, Hispanic, etc., if you are other than white, then you are statistically more likely to be a criminal, to have a criminal conviction on your background check. That is not a statistical claim that I am making. I'm not rebutting the claim, but I want to be very clear that that is in fact the claim that is necessarily made by the assertion that the implementation of a criminal background check for the purposes of your hiring process and the refusal to hire convicted criminals to work in your gas station is the same because of the disparate impact that a criminal background check has on people of color, as they term it. It is the same as just refusing to hire people based on race. All right. Not only did I say it, I've referenced it many, many times before. I've gone back to the original claim and referenced it many, many times before. I've referred back to the Ahmaud Arbery case. And it's not the case itself, but rather what happened around the case that's worth referring. In the Ahmaud Arbery case, you had a young Black man who had a history sufficient to establish a pattern of modus operandi, which was to pose as a jogger while he cased houses and then robbed those homes. He had been arrested many times for the same crime, and then in a community where someone was breaking into houses repeatedly, he was witnessed and videotaped committing that crime. The police refused to intervene and do the job that is required of them, which is not to serve and protect. It is to prosecute criminals given evidence of the crimes. The police were given evidence of the crimes, did not arrest and prosecute Ahmaud Arbery, and then two citizens, both of whom, by the way, the McMichaels, have law enforcement backgrounds, attempted to effect a citizen's arrest in the midst of Ahmaud Arbery committing his crime. Arbery tried to take a firearm out of one of the men's hands. He assaulted the younger McMichael, attempted to take the gun out of his hand, and the gun went off. We still don't know how the gun went off. We don't know if Arbery squoze McMichael's finger, if McMichael pulled the trigger, if Arbery pulled the trigger, if there is no clear evidence on who actually discharged the firearm. But the pattern, the evidence was so clear in that case that prosecutors, yes, multiple prosecutors, refused to file charges on the grounds that it was a clear-cut case of self-defense within the context of an otherwise lawful citizen's arrest. The prosecutors were then terrorized by BLM activists until they recused themselves. They lathered, rinsed, and repeated that process. They would terrorize and threaten the prosecutor until the prosecutor recused himself, until they found a black woman prosecutor 25 counties away on the opposite side of the metro Atlanta who was willing to just go and prosecute without sufficient evidence to convict. And there was no reasonable expectation that one could secure a conviction until it got in front of a judge who was willing to literally rewrite the law in order to guarantee a conviction to satisfy the BLM terrorist organization. Back then, I made what I thought to be the exaggerated and hyperbolic claim that the objective is to make crime permissible for all non-white, non-citizen, non-male U.S. persons. Since then, we've seen the Summer of Love, the BLM riots, the Antifa riots, all of that. We've seen lawyers firebomb police cars, throw Molotov cocktails into police cars, get off scot-free. We've seen police officers murdered, assaulted. We've seen federal buildings set on fire. And though there have been some arrests, there have been precious few convictions. Many of them didn't even get as far as indictment, despite overwhelming evidence of their involvement in the criminal activity. And now, you cannot even attempt to discourage crime done by non-white, non-men on the basis of the threat that your future will be compromised by a negative criminal record. That's insane. We're talking about the same political ideology that has changed the law in places like California so that it is no longer even a pursuable offense to shoplift less than $900. So if you go in and grab an $800 television and walk out with it brazenly, the police will not pursue. Now, I can only assume that that wouldn't work for me. And the result has been a massive spike in crime. And it's not just a spike in individuals committing crimes, individual crimes. You've all seen the videos of flash mobs, going into an Apple store and grabbing all the phones, smashing through the front windows of a jewelry store and just smashing glass cases and grabbing whatever they can carry. That's happening. So, hey, here's your safety brief. Get the fuck out of the cities. Pack your shit and move and go buy a farm. This is insane. So I've got this article from the New York Post, and we're going to take a peek at this. Biden and the Great Sheetz Shakedown, another crazy example of social justice run amok. The Biden administration believes it should be a federal crime to refuse to hire ex-convicts. There's no such federal statute, But that hasn't stopped President Biden's Equal Employment Opportunity Commission from seizing dictatorial power to impose its own decrees. Excuse me. The EEOC sued Sheetz, Inc. Thursday for using criminal background checks to staff its 600-plus convenience stores in 6 states. Why would a convenience store be interested in your criminal background check? Oh, I don't know. Maybe that criminal background check says that you were fired from the last gas station because you robbed them. I don't know about you, but if I was running a gas station, I might want to make sure that the employees I have aren't professional gas station robbers. Just a thought. You know, and in fairness, I might look at that criminal background check and see that you're a convicted murderer and say to myself, yep, I want this guy behind my cash register with a shotgun just in case somebody tries to rob me. Right? You know, it's like, hey man, I'm totally reformed, but I used to be a mob enforcer, and it was my job to make sure that the boss's bags of money never got stolen. Yo, how do you feel about selling Little Debbie's? You know, here's a sign-on bonus and a shotgun. Yeah, mass hysteria, cats and dogs living together. Yeah. Ooh. The objective is to turn America into a third world country where the only action that the government-sanctioned monopoly on violence law enforcement agencies have, their only job is to protect criminals from white men and to go out of their way to make more non-white men into criminals. This begins in the rooted racism of the left, of the other party. It's not complicated. Look at the Israeli stuff right now, right? Look at everything that's going on in Israel and Palestine, and you can see that, you know, the right-wing position, the popular right-wing position right now is stop sending money to the Middle East generally, while the popular left-wing position is let's make sure that we fund the people that are conducting the new Holocaust. You know, Hamas. Let's support those guys, right? And I'm just shocked that the Democrat National Socialist Committee of America is suddenly interested in exterminating all the Jews. I surprised you too, huh? A big government socialist organization that's interested in the abolition of freedom and the increase in taxes. Just, I mean, they're pro-poverty, pro-crime. That doesn't sound familiar at all. Ooh. And so these are the same people that are going out of their way to incentivize crime. And it gets worse than that when you look at the voting records for police precincts, and most especially for police unions. We're looking at a situation of total ideological capture. Xander says, so I'm guessing the FBI, DHS, CIA, etc. are next on the list because none of them will hire you with a criminal history. Right. I'm sure they're gonna actually, Alex, I mean, maybe criminals are the new trannies. Maybe it's that simple. They just, hey, we're starting to lose traction on the trans issues. We need a new victim group. And what better victim group than criminal? Because unlike actual race, ethnicity, or gender, criminality, being a criminal, is not an immutable characteristic. That's a club you can join. Right? Any one of you today could make that choice. You could go out there and choose to join the I'm a Criminal Club. It's not hard. I mean, you have to do it badly. If you're going to commit crime and get in the I have a bad criminal background check, you have to get caught. So you have to do crime badly. But all you got to do is go out there and do some crime, and you need to not be very good at it. And you can join this new protected class. A protected class which I guarantee, and I don't even speak hyperbolically on the subject anymore. I guarantee you that if they're not already afforded extraordinary entitlement program benefits, that those are coming. Right? It'll be like oh, you get a criminal disability check, right? The government starts writing you a check every month to make up for your loss of earning potential because your criminal history qualifies as an employment disability. You're individually unemployable. I can't wait to see them produce something akin to the Veterans Affairs system to try and guarantee free money to criminals. Because as far as the DNC is concerned, being a criminal is as patriotic as being a veteran. In fact, they will probably make the argument that it is more patriotic, that it is a more valuable service to the community. I can see that argument right now. It's too easy. They'll stand up and say that because the system itself is corrupt and against us, that it's our patriotic duty to fight back against the system, and this is the way that we do it. And that is a dangerously convincing argument, because right here, hey, I believe that there are problems. I believe that the system is corrupt and dangerous, and that it is our patriotic duty to resolve and correct that system. But maybe robbing gas stations isn't the way to do it. Zulu says the most honored to the community is to be LGBTQ right now. Yeah, they occupy the highest position on the victim stack right now. It helps a lot to be non-white before you do that. And I don't want to talk about stuff like this, because I don't want this kind of shit to be something that is worth arguing about. Right? It should be a no-brainer. Oh, you have a criminal history of repeat offenses in a crime to which my business interest is your primary probable targeted victim class. Bye. I'm not interested. I'm not going to hire criminals. Generally. Right? Now, okay, maybe, you got that criminal background. You made some mistakes. Maybe, Moss says maybe we should gas up at Sheetz. Don't jump to support Sheetz too fast. They may be getting screwed. But I should have pulled this up already. I'll pull this up, and this will be what we close on. Sheetz statement on Biden on EEOC lawsuit. Because Sheetz, like every other major corporation, they have a DEI statement on their cover. Let me see if I can find the statement that they made. I don't see their statement, but I want to talk about this real quick. Okay, so this is the law from the lawsuit itself, and I want to show this. Cover this real quick. It says this, this is quoting the attorney for EEOC bringing the suit. Federal law mandates that employment practices causing a disparate impact because of race or other protected classifications must be shown by the employer to be necessary to ensure the safe and efficient performance of the particular jobs at issue. Okay. She is making the argument that that the employment practice causes a disparate impact because of race or other protected classes, right? That is to say that she's basically making the claim that race is the root cause of criminality. Right? Because what is not alleged is that Sheetz hires white criminals and not other ethnic category criminals. It is not being alleged that if you have a criminal history, if you fail the criminal background check, but are white, that they will hire you. What is being alleged is that there is a higher probability for non-whites to fail a criminal background check. And this language used by this attorney, federal law mandates that employment practices causing a disparate impact because of race or other protected classifications. She is making a classic Kantian mistake, which is that she is misplacing her cause and effect. Her claim is that her claim is that the race itself, whatever non-white race the applicant belongs to, that it is because of their race that they fail the criminal background check. Which is to say that the claim of attorney Deborah Lawrence is that being non-white is equal to being a criminal. And for that reason, we should make every pain to tolerate criminality from non-white entities. I remind you of two other cases that kind of fit hand in glove with this complaint, with these arguments. There are people right now arguing for and against the idea of voter ID to secure our elections and avoid another 2020 disaster. The ones who argue against voter ID, they argue that requiring people to present an identification in order to vote is racist because non-white people can't get ID. They don't know where the DMV is, or they can't afford it because they're expensive. So let's be very clear. The states where, like in Georgia, you do have to show an ID. You have to show a driver's license to vote. At least they always ask me for one. Maybe I'm missing something there, but they make me show them my driver's license when I go vote. And in Georgia, I don't know. I haven't renewed my driver's license recently, but I think it's like $10. It's cheap. It's cheap to get a license here or to get a state ID, a non-driver's license state ID, which you also get at the DMV. California, however, where they do make the arguments, the driver's license, or the state ID, the non-driver's license state ID is like $65 or $70. I haven't checked recently. The last time I checked, I think it was $65. And you'll see that trend. There are states where the majority of the people would prefer that a state ID be presented in order to vote. And in those states, that state ID is either cheap or free. And then there are states like California and New York where the majority believe that it's racist because black people are too stupid to get an ID. And they don't know how to use the internet and they don't have any money. And that's why it's racist to require ID. Right? That's the argument that they make, not the argument that I'm making. In those states, that ID cost $50, $60, $70, $80. Right? And let me bring you back to Georgia for a minute, and let me remind you that in early 2020, Stacey Abrams and one of her voter activist groups filed suit against the governor's office and the state elections commissions over the practice of signature verification, of exact match verification, which is where they take the registration, the voter registration, and they take things off the roll for names being misspelled, birth dates being incorrect, social security numbers being incorrect, addresses being incorrect, et cetera, et cetera. Stacey Abrams filed a lawsuit over exact match voter verification, arguing that it disproportionately affects black voters because black voters are more likely than white voters to misspell their name, and I quote, or misremember their address, social security number, or birth date. That's right. The argument that Stacey Abrams put forward is black people can't spell their name, don't know their own birthday or social security number, and can't remember where they live. And therefore, it's racist to require people to accurately fill out government documents, which, by the way, include the marking at the bottom that says, I swear and affirm, something to the effect of, I swear and affirm that, to the best of my knowledge, the information in this document is true and correct to the best of my knowledge, or something like that, right? So, black people, understand this. The Democrat Party thinks that you are criminals, that you are too stupid to spell your own name correctly, that you are too stupid to remember where you live, that you're too broke to get a $50 state ID in California and New York. They believe that you are inferior to white people. That is the official position of the Democrat Party. That is an incontrovertibly true statement. They say it explicitly and repeatedly. And, you know, I mean, the Democrat claim that black people are stupid. It breaks my heart to hear people speak that way of other people and to treat people that way. But the Democrats have been so blatantly vocal about their position on that for so long that if African Americans insist on continuing to vote for Democrats in extraordinarily high numbers, then I have to ask, are they wrong? Are the Democrats actually wrong? And the correct answer to that question is actually, it's not that they're stupid, it's that culturally they tend to expose themselves to the propaganda and the brainwashing that is just intentionally pumped into them. They're being abused. Micah asks, is it legal to shoplift less than $200 in Georgia without driver's license if I'm black? No, but the fact is you probably won't be pursued for it. All jokes aside, and Unverified Bear asks, phone the DA and ask. That's a great idea. maybe we should do that one morning. All right, guys, I got to go ahead and button this one up. I can't believe where we're at. I really can't. The Democrats are saying the quiet part out loud. They hate you because you're black. It really is that simple. And they think that you're stupid and gullible, and that because you're stupid and gullible, they can buy your votes with obscene and indulgent government benefits, paying off student loans, et cetera, et cetera. And they hate your family, and that's why they pay your women to not have husbands. That's why they pay your women to raise children without fathers, and statistically almost guarantee their involvement with the justice system. It's intentional. It is the tactic that is used by the left to hobble you and enslave you and prevent you from being able to access the upward mobility that is the hallmark of liberty, prosperity, and capitalism. So, and Xander Max says, yep, and history has shown it will work, and you are correct. So, y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.